Hello everyone, this is Paleo Nerd here. I was going to be working on the video I teased yesterday or a few days ago, uh, but as you can probably already tell, we got an official trailer for Prehistoric Planet 2, and since I missed out on covering the teaser and I missed out on covering any of the marketing for the first season, I figured I'd get around to this as quickly as possible. I've never done this before. So the current plan is gonna be I'm gonna just let the trailer play once. Then I'm going to go back and go through the trailer, point out things I noticed, make some predictions about what animals are included, what episodes they will be in, and hopefully that will be sufficient. All right, so let's take a look.
66 million years ago, planet Earth was ruled by dinosaurs, both majestic and extraordinary. The mysteries of their lives have been largely undiscovered. Until now. Join us for a journey like no other, where there's always more to experience and more to discover. Explore 5 new worlds filled with danger and adventure. This is Prehistoric Planet 2. Only on Apple TV+.
All right, so that was the trailer, and let's take. So now I'm gonna take a closer look. Yep. So we see there's some that opening shot of the ocean. Really nice wide shot here. Got the two. I'm assuming these are the two Tarkia that we already knew about. Those are going to be in the Badlands episode, which from the title I'm guessing is essentially just going to be a sort of a successor to the Deserts episode. For anyone who's somehow unfamiliar, Badlands, at least traditionally, sort of just refers to places that are bad for farming, where plants didn't really grow that well. So this is mostly going to be deserts, I assume. There might also be some other environments featured in that episode. But yeah, we got beautiful cinematography, a nice landscape. Really. And then we got I'm assuming this is the Hatzegopteryx flying overhead. We saw that in the first teaser. And we know that's going to be in the Islands episode, which will be the first episode of this season. My prediction is that Hatzegopteryx is going to be the opening segment for not only the episode, but for this season as a whole, because of how last season ended with the Hatzegopteryx flying off into the sunset. I feel like this season is going to start with Hatzegopteryx flying to the um, to the little island or bay to do its courtship thing. And then we got another lovely view of the Pachycephalosaurus. This is not in the teaser, it was first shown on the Apple TV Plus page for Prehistoric Planet 2, and it was also revealed in the synopsis of the third episode, Swamps, so that's what this guy is going to be in. It might also appear in the final episode of the season, North America, because, yeah, I guess they ran out of ideas for environment, so the last episode of the season is just North America. They're like, the episode synopsis calls them Pachycephalosaurus, so we know that they're not being called Stygimoloch, which has been speculated because it has these big spikes at the back, whereas Pachycephalosaurus wyomingensis traditionally has just the small little knobs, while Stygimoloch, or potentially it might turn out to just be Pachycephalosaurus spinifer, we'll have to wait on that, would have been the spikier one. There hasn't been any confirmation yet as to what's going on here. If they're thinking, because I know some consultants have been speculated to fully support Stygimoloch just being straight up a junior synonym of Pachycephalosaurus wyomingensis, just being a growth stage, and that the horns somehow reduced as it grew up. Because like the spikes here could just be keratin extensions of the little knobs we see on adult Pachycephalosaur specimens. So we'll just have to wait and see if anything is discussed about that. And got an up close look at the Nanuqsaurus here. One of the confirmed returning animals from season 1, as shown in the teaser for this season. Nice location of what I'm assuming is going to be part of the Swamps episode, or maybe possibly the fourth episode, Oceans, just showing like a river going out into the ocean. Some nice titanosaurs. These look like the heads look a lot from the Dreadnoughtus from season 1. I'm hesitant to say that these are Dreadnoughtus, though. They look different enough in the coloration that they might just be a different animal. I'm guessing Saltosaurus. That was one of the dinosaurs leaked in the previs footage that one of the effects studios had posted on Prehistoric Planet that was then taken down because they accidentally showed footage that would be in season 2 before that was officially announced. So my guess is that these are Saltosaurus and that they only look slightly like Dreadnoughtus because it's been speculated that Dreadnoughtus might be a Saltosaurid. And then we get another returning dinosaur here, Triceratops. This fellow here has some very impressive horns, which I'm just going to tell you right off the bat. These are based on a specific specimen of Triceratops. It's commonly known as Yoshi's trike, which currently has the largest horns of any individual Triceratops specimen. So obviously we're getting that here, sort of a face-off between two Triceratops, one with quote-unquote normal horns and this guy with absolutely massive horns. I imagine it's going to sort of be like how you'll have elephants that have different sized tusks, like you'll see like the fellas, they're called big tuskers or something like that, where they just have absolutely enormous tusks. For elephants, obviously, that's kind of a bad thing because big tuskers tend to be targeted more by humans, but that's not really related here. I'm guessing this segment is going to be in North America. Um, Forgot about I guess they were Saltosaurus. Based on what I've seen, I'm assuming those are going to be Badlands because they're shown climbing a mountain in the previous footage, not in the trailer. So yeah, we're gonna get some classic. I'm assuming this is gonna be battling for courtship mating rights. That's gonna be two males fighting over females. We get another nice wide shot of, I'm assuming this is I'm blanking on the word. It's like something you expect to see in a volcanic land. This is going to be the Izzysaurus segment. Izzysaurus is a really unique titanosaur with like a relatively short and very robust. It's just a really weird looking neck. It's found from Lake Cretaceous, India, which at the time had a lot of volcanic activity going on in an area known as the Deccan Traps, which is what's going to be depicted in this segment. Which speculation is it's likely going to be in the Badlands episode. And based on previous footage, this is going to be a nesting site. You can see the little baby Izzysaurus that were also partially shown in the previous footage, which based on that, um, quick spoilers, some of these babies might not last that long. And then we get this lovely mosasaur. This is obviously going to be in oceans. Um, my bet is that this is a halosaurine. My initial guesses were Halosaurus or Pleurodens, but I don't know. It's kind of hard to see. Like I have the video in HD, but because it's moving, because it's in motion, it's hard to get a clear look. Like this looks like very dark water, deep/dark water with like some light coming in. This might be nighttime, and this is like the moonlight. Those look like those could be relatively huge eyes. It's hard to get a good look, but based on that information, I'm gonna guess this is actually Phosphorosaurus, which is another halosaurine. It's known for having really big eyes, so the speculation is that it either hunted in deep water or was more of a nocturnal hunter. So that could be interesting to see. Um, got some classic elasmosaurid hunting. Oh, went back a little too far. And then the return of the velociraptors again, even though they're not actually velociraptors. Another interesting little fella. My speculation is that this is Austroraptor. The Darren Naish, one of the consultants, made a tweet about this trailer, and in it he included Austroraptor, which was also circulating around as an animal that was scrapped from season 1. So we might be getting it here. I've talked about before in my video on dromaeosaurids, but Austroraptor is one of the they might not even be dromaeosaurs. They're a group. It's part of a group of paravians called the Unanlagines, which are currently best known for their long skulls. Then, especially in Austroraptor, it's kind of like the current theory is that they're kind of like if a conventional dromaeosaur was convergently evolving to fill the niche of a spinosaurid, because the idea is that these would have been fish eaters because they have smaller, more conical teeth. Their forelimbs are reduced. They have long snouts, and so based on that speculated behavior, I'm guessing this is going to be in swamps. About an Austroraptor. And then we get some adorable Pachycephalosaurs. So we're getting more Pachycephalosaurs this season. We didn't have any last season, so it's nice that we're getting at least 2. And they're bothering the Tarchia, so these are most likely pranocephaly. Well, most likely they are going to be pranocephaly. Um They're really the only Pachycephalosaurs with this kind of dome that would have coexisted with Tarchia. There is another species, Homalocephaly, but that was one of the flat-headed Pachycephalosaurs that didn't really have a dome, so it couldn't possibly be that. It's got to be Pranocephaly, I'm thinking. Got a little tail club action. beautiful shot of a mosasaur leaping out of the water with what looks like an elasmosaur in its mouth. It'll be interesting to see that. Obviously, it will be oceans. The previous one with the Tarkia and the Pachycephalosaurs will obviously be in Badlands because that's going to be the Tarkia episode. Based on the preview, I assume this is going to be Mosasaurus itself, in which case I'm curious as to what the Elasmosaur will be, because I'm not entirely sure what kind of Elasmosaurids Mosasaurus coexisted with. So they might just be generic Elasmosaurids, we'll find out, but it'll still be interesting to see. This is the little bit from the last teaser, a tiny little Beelzebufo scaring off a big ass Repetosaurus. We're assuming this is Repetosaurus. There is another Titanosaur from late Cretaceous Madagascar called Vahini, but this is most likely Repetosaurus. And then got some interesting stuff here. They look like dromaeosaurs on first glance, but you'll see they don't have a sickle claw. So I think that these are Imperobator or Imperobator, however you pronounce it, which it's been known for a while. It was, even before it was officially described, it was known as the Naze dromaeosaur, even though it doesn't have a sickle claw. It's from Antarctica, hence the kind of snowy environment you're seeing here. So far, we only have part of the foot, I believe. And so this is a fairly speculative reconstruction, but not one I inherently disagree with until we get more fossils of it. And the little guy they're chasing here appears to be like an elasmarian of some kind. Elasmarians are a group of ornithopods from the southern hemisphere that kind of resemble like quote unquote hypsilophodonts or dryosaurids, but they're much more basal. There are two known from the same formation as Imperobator. By the way, Imperobator is actually known from the same formation as Antarctopelta from season 1. And then there are also two ornithopods from that formation called Morosaurus and Trinisaura, I believe are the names. This could be either one of them. I don't know enough about either to know which one this is, but this will be interesting. I'm not entirely sure what episode this could be. I believe Antarctica was believed to be connected to South America at the time, so I doubt this would be islands. But that's really, well, if it is Antarctica, Antarctica was like, obviously much warmer at this time. It was much further north, and we saw in season 1 how during the warmer months at least it was quite tropical, so I don't think this would be Badlands. Maybe it could be oceans because, like, skip too far back again, because you see they're chasing it out on this big, like, essentially a frozen over body of water. So it could be oceans, and what we're about to see is like the ice breaks and like one of the dinosaurs here falls to the water and gets eaten by a mosasaur or something. Because we do have mosasaur fossils from Antarctica. We saw one of them in the last season. Kaikaifilu is from Antarctica. So we might be seeing something like that here. I'm not entirely sure about that one. So yeah, basically there are 3 episodes I'm speculating this bit might be in. Either islands, badlands, or oceans. And then we got the Nanuqsaurus hunting the ornithomimids that we got in the teaser. Looks like this one isn't going to make it. We got a nice sauropod migration here. These are you can see the Mongolian Titan. We're back in Mongolia, so this is likely going to be in the Badlands episode. Got the big Mongolian Titan from last season. We also got the smaller sauropods that weren't identified. So maybe we'll get a definitive name for those smaller sauropods this season as to whether or not they're Nemegtosaurus or Opisthosilicadia. And then there are the Pranocephaly watching them in case you didn't know that this is the same segment. A wide shot of Edmontosaurus, which another returning dinosaur from season 1. Most likely going to be in North America. The little troodontid from the teaser. There's also the bigger one from the teaser that wasn't shown in this trailer that was hunting the presbyornithids, which are the duck relatives. And then obviously I have this smaller one hunting flies. The current speculation on these is that these are both Pectinodon, which the speculation is that the bigger brown one is the adult and the smaller white one is the baby or the juvenile. There was an Apple TV press release for the first teaser that basically confirmed Pectinodon will be in this series. Based on the background with like these salt formations or whatever, I'm assuming this is going to be another Badlands segment. And then we got something interesting here. We got this hadrosaur, and you can see right here from this angle, but I think it's going to be a bit easier from another angle with this very weird bit at the end of the beak where it's sort of like a comb. And that has been observed in a very basal hadrosauroid from late Cretaceous Italy called Tethys hadros. So that is most definitely, in my opinion, going to be what this is. This is a Tethahadros. I'm just going to assume mother with her 2 kids. Something that just popped into my head I didn't think about before. In the teaser with the Hatzegopteryx courtship, one of the things you can see when you take a closer look, the male Hatzegopteryx has a bower, and at the center is a dead dinosaur. People were assuming it was an adult Zalmoxes, but it also kind of looks like it. Thinking about it, it kind of looks like it could also be Tethys hadros. So maybe the premise is that Hatzegopteryx stops by this island to hunt for a gift for a potential mate, which means we could see more baby slaughter. Who knows? And then we got another big ice sheet with some heads poking out. It was hard to tell at first, but these are not the Turangosaurs from season 1. They have a bit wider heads, and it's hard to tell here, but the teeth on the bottom jaw actually flip downward, which means we're finally getting an Aristonectine this season. Aristonectines are a unique, mostly Gondwanan group of elasmosaurids, which are best known for developing like suction feeding or filter feeding features. This feature of the lower jaw is known in a species from Antarctica called Morturnaria. So that's likely what we're seeing here. This is most definitely going to be another oceans segment. Got a mother and a baby. Got So it's kind of interesting here. We have just from, well, okay, at first I thought it was Ostroraptor, but no, I think this is the Velociraptor we saw early in the teaser and early in the trailer, and also in season 1 a lot. So we have it possibly stealing an egg, and then we got two of its babies. So, I mean, it's a lot of guesses around this. It could be the parent is stealing an egg to feed its babies. Maybe this is just like another egg of its that hasn't hatched yet. That seems unlikely though, because these two babies seem fairly well developed, so they don't look like they just recently hatched. So I'm guessing this is just going to be a thing where it's a parent stealing an egg from some other animal to feed its own young. You got more of the Izzysaurus climbing up the mountain. You got a very interesting bit here. This is Zalmoxes floating on like a raft made of like wood and plant matter and whatnot, which is kind of interesting because like that's the kind of stuff where it's like where it's like scientists have speculated that rafts like that are how, for example, rodents and monkeys first made it to South America, is that they floated on these rafts from Africa to South America. I'm interested if there's going to be any of that kind of connection made, or if it's just going to be a here's how these European dinosaurs traveled between different European islands. Because we do have evidence of a Europe Africa faunal interchange in the late Cretaceous at this time. A lot of it is more recently published, though, so I don't know how much of this would have been available when they were making this. Um, Lovely, very lovely ammonite diversity here. Again, obviously another oceans segment. Salmoxy's bit, obviously islands because their whole habitat is an island. Just God, this looks so beautiful. And of course, the big money shot, T-Rex versus Quetzalcoatlus. We get a wider view of the carcass it's defending, and it's without a doubt a sauropod, most definitely Alamosaurus. I know based on the little bit we saw in the teaser that some people thought was a beached mosasaur, but obviously now without a shadow of a doubt, it's a sauropod, and just based on that, it's Alamosaurus. We know that this is going to be the North America segment. I imagine this is going to be one of the segments that's like going to be really well marketed and sort of be like the money shot in these trailers, because this is the last bit in this trailer. And like, sorry for the sigh. It's just I've seen a lot of discourse about this segment on Discord mostly. Because like it's just people have started to sort of argue about this segment because we obviously don't know all the details. Like this is basically all we've seen of this segment so far. But there's already been sort of arguments about whether it's going to be suggesting that the Quetzalcoatlus are going to actually scare the Rex away from the carcass, and you'll have people be like, "Well, that's stupid. How would a Quetz be able to scare away a full-grown T-Rex?" And then I don't know. That whole Discord, I wasn't even really involved. It's just watching it happen was kind of very exhausting. So I'm not going to go further into that. Overall thoughts, I'm very excited. I know you can tell from my voice, can't you? But I am genuinely excited. Um I'm like, unless they release a full-on official trailer, I'm not sure if I'm really going to be on the lookout for too many spoilers before this came out. Because that was sort of a mistake I made with the last season, is it felt like by the time the series came out, I had seen most of the stuff already. Not all of it. There were definitely quite a few surprises, especially in the early episodes. But for the most part, by the time the series was at it, by the time the first series was near its end, it felt like I had seen all the stuff they were going to show already. So I'm going to try and avoid that now. So one more thing, just kind of some things I hope to see that haven't been shown off yet. It's funny, I didn't think of this before, but both of these are basically just, I almost, like, the overall thing is I really hope to see more Gondwanan stuff, because there's two groups from Gondwana I really want to see in this series, and those are Notasukians and Megaraptorids, which I know the latter is a huge surprise based on uh my my character on this show, the Megaraptor. But yeah, I really like Megaraptorids. I would like to see one in this series. Uh and Notasukians are especially diverse. They're terrestrial crocodile morphs. Like, there's a potential for one in the Madagascar segment with Beelzebufo and Rapetosaurus. I could see us potentially getting something like that in here, where we already have two Madagascan animals. Beelzebufo was in season 1. I forgot to bring that up, but you probably already knew that. But just based on that, suggests we could see a Notasuki in that segment, because there are some. There's Mahajangasuchus, there's Simosuchus, which is especially unique because it's a very pudgy looking creature. It almost looks like if a croc was trying to be a pig, and it's an herbivore, and it has the potential to look very adorable if it's done right. Another Notasukian I think would be interesting to feature, it's more of a group really, are Borusukids that were I want to say huge. They're huge for crocs. They be around the size of what many people would consider a mid-sized theropod, and in some regions they may have actually competed with quote unquote mid-sized theropods. So I think that could be interesting to see. And I'm really holding out for that Megaraptorid, and I'm going to um sort of predict a segment that I feel like, because most of these episodes don't really seem like the ideal environment to depict a Megaraptorid, but I'm going to sort of invent one that probably won't happen, but I like to see happen, is if in Badlands, as a follow-up to the Dreadnoughtus segment from Deserts, they had a bit where a bunch of scavengers are feeding on the corpse of the dead Dreadnoughtus male from that segment. And it could sort of be a demonstration of how those large sauropod carcasses have the potential to basically feed an entire ecosystem for weeks or even months. Sort of like how you'll have whale carcasses that fall to the bottom of the sea, and those basically support an entire ecosystem. It'd be kind of interesting to see something like that for sauropods. I don't know if we're going to get it. That's just something I would really like to see. But I mean, like, I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna hate the series if they don't include that or include either the creatures I want to see. I'm gonna be excited and happy about this regardless. So that's really all I have to say for today. Um, I'll start working on my next video again very soon. Till then, Paleo Nerd signing out.